What's up guys, and welcome back to my Bootstrap 5 crash course lesson number 7. And in today's video I'm going to be going over containers, and so this is what they look like, and the point of them is going to be their responsiveness. So right now we can see that for the container fluid it's going to have a width of 100, and so every time I change the dimensions, we can see that one more container's width becomes 100, and this is going to be the difference for the containers. And so you're going to be learning how to use them today. And if you're new here, then go and check out my other lessons on Bootstrap so you won't be behind, and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any new lessons and new content. And now that we're done with that, let's get right into the video. So we're going to start by creating a div with a class of container. And there are different sizes of containers, but we're going to go over this one right now and go over the other ones later. And we have to add some content. So let's create an H1. I'm going to write Bootstrap container. And then under I'm going to create a paragraph. We could just write lorem. And now when we open it and take a look at the container, we can see that the max width is going to be set to 1320 pixels. And the reason that it's centered is because it has a margin right and margin left of auto, we can see right here. And if we actually take a look at these styles here, then we can see that there's container large, container medium, container small, and so on, which I'm going to go over later. And now that we're done with that, let's take a look at the width and height of this container. So the height depends on the content inside of it. So right now the height is going to be the H1 and paragraph combined. But if I delete one of them, then the height is going to become the height of this H1. And if I remove the H1 now, then the height is going to be the height of the paragraph. And the width depends on the media. So right now it's going to be set to 1320 pixels. But then if I click here and we move this a bit, then we can see that it's going to keep changing. So right now, if the dimensions or the width dimension is going to be 1400 plus, then it's going to be 1320 pixels. But then if I make it or change it to something smaller, then we're going to see that the max width is going to change. So now it's going to be 960 pixels. And what we could also do is make it look like an actual container and make it look better. So we can start by giving it a background of, let's actually do primary, and then change the text to white. Let's add a margin top of 4, and also we could do padding of 4. Let's see what it looks like now. That looks pretty good. And if you want to make the edges here rounded, then what you could do is use a class of rounded, which is going to add some border radius and make it look a lot nicer. And now let's try to add some more content. So I'm going to add a button. We could write click me. So click me. In the class going to be btn. Let's try primary 2. So primary, let's see what's going to look like. So it's transparent because the background of our container is going to be blue too. So let's change this to secondary. See what that looks like. Let's try dark. There we go. So that looks pretty nice. And now let's see what happens when we change the dimensions. So right now it's going to be 1100. And the smaller we change it, or the smaller we make it, then we can see that the height changes. And once we get to around 560, 70, then we can see that the width of the container becomes the width of the phone. The way that it changes is by the max width right here. So if we scroll down, then we can see that when the media or the width of your phone or the device is going to be set to, let's say, 992 pixels, then the max width is going to be 960. And I'll see what would happen if we remove the container class and added some of our own styles. So we're going to copy the max width. I'm going to write style here, and then I'm going to set the max width to what it was. We're going to delete the container class, and then when we go back, it shouldn't be centered. And to center it, what we have to do is add a margin right and margin left of auto. And now it's going to be centered, but the problem is that it won't be responsive. So now we can see that the max width is only going to be responsive for when our dimensions are going to be higher than 1320. And when we make it smaller, then it won't be as responsive as it is with the class of containers. So let's go back here. Let's make this a bit bigger, and we can see that the reason that it's really responsive is because of the classes here. So we have the media, min width, and so on. Now that we know how the container class works and why it's responsive, let's take a look at another class. So we're going to copy this, paste it under, and the next one's going to be called MD. Let's change this to secondary. This we could do, let's try primary and see what that looks like. That doesn't look too bad, but I think that dark would still work. Yeah, it still works pretty well. And right now we can't see anything different other than the background change. But when we change the dimension size or width of our device, then we can see that the one with the medium, so the container medium class, is going to be behaving differently. And let's actually add or change the text here to container MD and this one to just container. And now we're going to know what the classes are. So this one's going to have a class of Bootstrap container, and this one's going to have a class of Bootstrap container MD. And if we take a look at the classes here, so right now for the normal container, the max width is going to be 540 pixels, but then when we take a look at this one, where is it? So the max width is going to be different, and it should be 100%. There we go. So we don't have this class, so we don't have this class right here, because if we take a look at the Bootstrap website, let's search up containers, then we could see that the one with MD, when the dimensions are going to be more than 575. So right now the dimensions are 629, then the width is going to be 100%. And the reason I didn't go over the SM is because it's the same as container. So if we go back here, change this to SM, then we could see that it's going to behave the same because the stats here are the exact same. And now let's go over the large. So we can go here. Let's copy this, paste it under. We can change this to LG, and then same thing here. We could write success for this one. And the button, we could just keep it at dark. Now let's see what it looks like. So right now, they're all gonna have the same width, but when I change this to around 990, let's see, so 92, then we can see that the width for the large container is going to be set to 100%. And let's take a look at the other ones. And I'm not going to go over every single one because it would take too long. So let's just do all of them. So the next one is going to be extra large. Copy this, paste it here. We can do warning. And I think we should remove this because we wouldn't really see the text. So yeah. The next one is going to be XXL. Let's copy this, paste it under. So XXL, this one we could do danger, and I think we could keep it like it is, yeah. And then the last one's gonna be XXL, which I think we just did, yeah. So the next one's gonna be the container fluid, and I'm gonna go over this separately. So let's take a look real quick. So if we set the dimensions to 1600 plus, then we can see that width is going to be the same, which will be the 1300 pixels. And let's see, so once I get to around 1380, then the XXL is going to have a width of 100, and the lower I go, the more are going to have a width of 100. So now the extra large is going to have a width of 100. Next one's going to be the large, and then the medium and the container, because the medium and container, they have the same statistics or stats, so they basically work the same. Now let's actually take a look at the container fluid. So let's actually put this one on top. This one's going to be container fluid for now. I'm going to put this at the bottom later, but for now we could just put it at the very top. So container fluid, and we could write info, and the text, yeah, it should be white. So let's see what it looks like. There we go. So for the container fluid, if we take a look here, the width is going to be 100% for everything, no matter what. So if you want your container to have a width of 100 no matter what, then you have to set the container to container fluid. And yeah, so this is what the container fluid is. And now that we know, we could put it at the very bottom. So I'm going to paste it here. There we go. And now this is where it's going to be. And so this is going to be for this video. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you did, then leave a like, subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Leave a comment down below if you have any questions, and see you next video.